And what's up, everybody? This is Terminator Juice, and welcome back to another Juice Opinions. And I'm expecting by the title to get a little more back and forth drama, whatever you want to call it, than usual. I'll explain that. I'm going to start off with a few other topics. And the first thing I want to say, something that I haven't really talked about, is that I've boycotted Rotten Tomatoes for almost a year now. It's probably been about 10 months. Started with Batman versus Superman. And then, if you remember my Juice Opinions, some point last year, movies that I liked that were, quote unquote, bad or terrible. And I talked about how the Rotten Tomatoes scores were just ridiculous. I went to the, I didn't go to the Rotten Tomatoes to get those scores. I went to the IMDb or whatever, and it showed them, or just Wikipedia showed that score. And I liked a lot of those movies last year that got like below 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it happened again. I didn't know. I stopped checking reviews pretty much since then. I went and seen Ghost in the Shell last Sunday. I didn't check a single review. I watched Chris Stuckman and it's John. The hell's his name? The other guy. The other Chris Stuckman guy, dark hair. Can't think of his name for some reason. He didn't like it. He wasn't familiar with the anime. Chris Stuckman loved the anime, and he liked the movie. I thought the trailers looked great, and I'm a fan of the source material. I have 3 or 4 of the movies. I have the Arise series, and I watched the Standalone Complex in its entirety and love that. It was up and down. But anyway, the point of this is Rotten Tomatoes ruins another good movie that was good to me. Again, some of the other ones that I mentioned last year, like Batman vs. Superman, they still had huge box office numbers, and then their Blu-ray and streaming was also huge. But Ghost in the Shell, just from what I understand, gets just murdered in the reviews, and now it's a flop. It's not going to make any money. And I'll tell you what, that movie was awesome. As far as adaptations go from source material that was, anime first, it's definitely the best adapted live action of an animation or anime. The Jungle Book was really good. But it was just like identical. I mean, just like Beauty and the Beast, they basically just remade the movie the same exact movie in live action. Well, in the Jungle Book, Mowgli was live action, everything else was CGI, but it worked. That was good. For me, Ghost in the Shell took this source material of the anime and brought it to life in a way I never expected. And I wasn't even going to hope for them to bring the world and the idea of Ghost in the Shell. I didn't even dare allow myself to hope for what they actually achieved. It's so amazing to me. I'm sitting there like in awe. Like they captured the anime perfectly. This movie, if you like the anime and those trailers look good, if you think the trailer looks good, go see the movie, because that's how I felt, and I really enjoyed the movie. And it just pisses me off that Rotten Tomatoes has such an influence. And you see like the Marvel movies, they always have 80, 90%, and they're just the most, some of them are just cookie cutter, copy paste, like okay movies. Yeah, they're well-made movies. They're okay. They're entertaining, but they're not 90% positive for me. And I feel like just another movie gets ruined by Rotten Tomatoes that I liked. And I want to go see Ghost in the Shell again in IMAX 3D. It was just stunning. Every level. I love Scarlett as the Major. I thought it was a perfect casting. I thought she did a great job. They took some story elements from the series, from the original movie, even the second movie, and they kind of blended them together, and then they added some new stuff. Like they actually gave you the Major's kind of origin story. And I was like, that's cool. I like it. But they didn't leave them. They used some of the best stories from the source material all into one movie. And well, now that it's going to be a flop, well, it didn't open in Japan and China yet, but it looks like it's going to be a flop. They're not going to make another one. But I was worried if this movie does well, what are they going to do? They've already used up some good source material, but just an amazing movie. And I just want to give it some credit. If you don't think the trailers look good, you probably won't like it. If you didn't see the anime, you don't know the anime or the movies, you don't know the world, then maybe the movie doesn't work for somebody going in as a newbie. But Robert Gaming with me, he saw it. Well, he likes a lot of movies. He thought Suicide Squad was awesome. That movie's hard to watch the second time, but he didn't know the source material and he really enjoyed it. I loved it a lot. Can't wait. That's a day one Blu-ray. There's not a lot of movies where as soon as I'm walking out of the theater, I'm just like, I can't wait to own that on Blu-ray. And this was one of them. It was just, every part of it was well done, I thought. But anyway, let's get on to some gaming. I've been playing Snake Pass a little bit more. I'm on the 6th or 7th level. And I got to tell you, the first level, the first time I played it, I was like, what is this trash? I just couldn't figure it out. I didn't understand the controls. And once I did, I wasted like a half hour. I was just stubborn. I'm going to get this coin that's hanging out over this ledge on these 3 bamboo sticks. And I just kept dying and didn't understand what to do. Once I figured it out, it's a very rewarding feeling to have gone back to those areas. Now I'm like a champ, first try. There's a technique on the bamboo. You just have to coil. You can't just go straight for the goal, the coin or I don't even know what the other things are called, those spirit blobs. You can't just go for it. You have to be patient and you have to coil around to make sure that when you get it, that you're not just falling and you can get back. And so what I do is I dip the head under and then you have to hit the A button to lift your head up. I mean, it's definitely challenging still. I'm hitting and then the trigger, you're like, sometimes you forget you're holding it and the next thing you know, you've gone too far, and then you come back up and you just coil around. You got to take it slow. You got to be patient. And it's really a good game. I got to say though, like I said in the Juice is Loose podcast, the camera fights you a lot. For me, the camera turning speed is just ridiculously slow and you can't change it. And I was on, I think it was the 6th level where there's first time you can go underwater and there's some tight corner. You just can't turn the camera and it's just so frustrating. It reminds me of why the N64 was never like, sorry, Ms. T, I know you love it and I know your nostalgia. You still play those games. I can't play a lot of those games. I couldn't play them back then. I knew, even though it was a new 3D world, we haven't experienced 3D platforming and stuff, and we hadn't experienced that. I still felt the camera system in a lot of those games being an issue, and Mario 64 did it pretty good, but there were still problems. And I just never really got on board back then. And this one's way better than a lot of those, but there's times where you just can't turn the camera or it's stuck. You can tell it's stuck on an object, and then finally it breaks free and it starts to turn. And there's all these hidden, there's 5 or 6 hidden gold coins, and you're trying to see around a corner, and it's just you can't. So other than that, I really like the game. The music's great. It looks good, especially when the camera is fighting you and it zooms in on Noodle. You can see the detail, because when you're kind of zoomed out, you don't see the scales or anything and just kind of solid colors. It looks better close up. And again, I had a couple comments on the podcast. Sean Long docked points from the game in portable mode, says it looks terrible. And I'm like, that's just not an opinion. That you're stating a fact that the game doesn't look good in portable mode. And I'm telling you, I have the auto brightness turned off, which someone suggested to Sean Long. And I seen 2 people comment on the Juice is Loose podcast saying that it looks bad. They immediately docked it. Like, that game looks great in portable mode. That's not an opinion. It looks great. I took a screen cap of it docked and a screen cap of it in portable mode and looked at them both on my TV later on, and there wasn't a whole lot different. So whether you got something going on with your screen or something, maybe your screen protector is an issue, or maybe it's that auto brightness thing. I think it looks great in portable mode. And then when I dock it, I'm actually a little disappointed with it. Doesn't look enough a good enough amount improved, in my opinion, while docked. But anyway, it's a good game. I will say I'm feeling like it could really use the analog triggers. So if anybody's watching this and you played Snake Pass on PC or PS4, Xbox One, and maybe also on the Switch, because there's times where I want to just slither slowly, you know, and coil around, and there's only the one speed without the, and it even in the when it's loading, it tells you to feather the ZR button, which means tapping it. And I was like, I think with the analog trigger, and if I can slow down my speed, maybe they should add some kind of, I don't know what they could do, give you the option to slither quick or slow. I think analog triggers, this is the first game that I've played on the Switch where I've like, yeah, Nintendo, what were you thinking? Why don't we have analog triggers? So I'm thinking about buying it on PC, on Steam, for $20. I like the game, and I really just want to know how it would play with the analog triggers. I think if I could go slow, I could just cruise through and not have to struggle so much with some of the harder ones to get. I said cruise through like after going slow, but you know what I mean? I don't have to sit there and, oh wait, I got to let up on the button, got to let up on the trigger because I'm moving too fast, forward too fast. So if I could just use analog triggers and just move super slow, I think it would really help. So anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is a similar looking game, which I guess runs on a completely different engine, which is Unity, which is Yooka-Laylee. Now, a curious thing, and I haven't seen anybody talk about it. Every review I've seen is Xbox One version. Did the PS4 version get delayed? I mean, I've never seen a multi-plat get solely reviewed on Xbox One Game Explain, IGN, GameSpot. Like everybody's reviewing the Xbox One version, and of course, that one runs probably the worst. And it's just curious, why are they only playing on the Xbox One? So anyway, it does seem to be poorly optimized, at least for the Xbox One. There's frame rate hitches, there's slowdown, there's complete stops, kind of like Breath of the Wild does a few times. And it's like, okay, is it just the Xbox One version? So Digital Foundry, they just did a Snake Pass full analysis. Said it's very well optimized to each platform, and the next game they're going to do is Yooka-Laylee. So I'm very curious, even though the Switch version won't be ready for that. But getting rid of, even if PS4 Pro or PC had no frame rate issues, going back to what I was just talking about with Snake Pass, the camera on Yooka-Laylee looks horrendous. And I mean horrendous. There's times where it pulls a Resident Evil and it's looking, let's say you're looking at what, my background there. All of a sudden, you're looking at over here. It instantly switches completely a different perspective, which, unlike Resident Evil, there isn't just one direction for moving forward. And it made the person continually, every time the camera would switch, the person would continually fall off the platform. And this was on GameSpot's review. And it's not in everywhere. Obviously, the bigger open areas, it wasn't like that. But this was, he was turning, he or she, and jumping on a platform. As soon as they jumped, the camera would switch like 180 degrees or 90 degrees, and then they would immediately fall off the platform and then go to try to do it again. And then they had to just, as soon as it switched, they had to press in a different direction to not fall off the platform. And I'm sorry, that's broken. That is a broken game. It's unacceptable. I absolutely won't purchase this game if that camera is not fixed. And I'm already set on not buying it. They'd have to really get a patch out quick that would alleviate that. I've complained on the Juice is Loose, which I was met with a lot of, I guess the group didn't agree with me because a lot of them were backers, everybody but Rob of Rule of Two. They're charging $40 for a successful Kickstarter. It made, I forget what it generated, like $1 million or something. And they're charging $40 for an indie game that had a very successful Kickstarter. I never liked that. That never sat well with me. That should, in my opinion, should have been a $20 digital, $30 physical. So it was $40. I already felt weird and didn't like that. And then now I'm seeing that they're putting this game out and it has a broken camera in areas, not in all areas. And Meza T, I'm sure he could get used to it because he plays a lot of games on the N64 with broken cameras. For me, that's a no buy. I can't support that. What did you spend that money on? I know they had to get an office space and they had to get everything so they could make the game. It seems like the game, even though they delayed it, it still seems to me like it came out sooner than it should have. And with what we're seeing so far, even if they patch it in a month, it came out too soon if this is a problem. Platonics, a lot of people were giving them cred because, hey, they're all former Rare people. They all worked on Banjo-Kazooie. They got David Wise doing the music. Is this another more proof that Rare ain't shit without Nintendo? I mean, look at this. They left Nintendo, go to Microsoft. They made nothing but bad games. They had to make some launch titles for the Xbox that were rushed. They did some Connect games. They did the Viva Pinatas, which I guess were pretty good. And now a lot of the team members left. Now they're in Platonics, and we got an unpolished game. Looks visually interesting and looks fun if everything was working. And it's just like Rare wasn't much, or if anything, before Nintendo, and they haven't been shit after Nintendo. And now all these former Rare members make a game, and it doesn't have that polish. It doesn't have that Nintendo touch. So I'm starting to believe. I mean, I'm convinced. I know a lot of people would probably disagree. I'm convinced Rare was only great because of Nintendo during their heyday. I don't think they had the talent, the programming talent, and everything to make those games. I think they would have been Banjo-Kazooie. I'm guessing would have been a huge mess without Nintendo. Because I don't even love the game anyway, but it was still a pretty polished game, and it's like, if this is going to be your first game, you did all this, you got all this attention, you had a successful Kickstarter based on, hey, we're the guys that made Banjo-Kazooie, we're basically the same size team, give us your money, trust us, and this is what you're going to put out. For me, you don't get a second chance. You would, I guess, if you funded it yourself and you put out a game and it turned out great, the next game, then I would, I wouldn't be against buying it. But I know I'm going to be the only one. I'm not going to bring this up on the Juices Loose probably, because we got 3 people that back the game, and Rob Arula too. He's hopelessly optimistic about even the most obvious bad things. Sorry, Rob, but yeah, I'm pretty upset, pretty angry that what I saw in those demonstrations of the camera system, and it's just like, I'm sorry. And somebody's in the chat, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't care. You're not talking about what I'm talking about, so please be quiet. I guess one person was, but anyway. Yeah, Yooka-Laylee, they had a lot riding on it. If they put out a good game, it would have put a lot of goodwill towards Kickstarters in general, and definitely for them. But I'm sorry, what I saw is unacceptable. That's a broken ass third-party game, and if 90% of the game is great, but 10% of it's that camera system that's going to ruin my enjoyment and make it frustrating, then I'm sorry, it's a loss. It's a no buy. I mean, maybe, and then the Switch version. If the Xbox One version runs that poorly, I have zero hope for the Switch version. I'm sorry. Maybe, I forget who's porting it. It's the Unity engine, which is native support on the Switch, but Snake Pass could run as well as it does with 2 to 3 weeks of development, and Yooka-Laylee has no excuse. It's like, you guys, yeah, you had basically probably got the dev kits around the same time, but you delayed your game. Well, we don't know when it's coming out. Probably May or June, I would think, on the Switch. And it's like, if you guys don't get this right to the Nintendo fan base, I mean, you canceled the Wii U version. What the hell? What did the Wii U version look like if this Xbox One version's chugging and freezing? I doubt that Wii U version was ever coming out, even without the Switch. It's another Project Cars situation. So it's just not a good look. And the Metacritic, someone said, was like 67 or whatever. I don't really put too much stock in Metacritic, but the eye test, for me, it was a fail. So you can't get the camera right, you don't deserve to make a game. If you're gonna make a 3D platformer and you don't get the camera right, you don't deserve to be making a game. Because to me, that's the most important thing. The controls, including the camera controls, are for a 3D platformer. Nintendo makes it look easy. I know it's probably a lot harder than it would seem to regular people like us. But if you look at all the games over the past, since 1997, since 3D gaming really was the standard, I bet you way less get it right way less get it right than they don't. And I don't know what the ratio would be, but I would guess it's like 20% got it right, 80% don't get the camera right. Just off the top of my head, that's kind of how I feel. And no way to back it up with anything. That's just kind of my gut feeling, and it must be way harder because no one seems to be able to get it right, minus a few top tier, especially Nintendo, when it comes to platformers. And not even some of the action games still. It's a lot easier, I think, for like the shooting games to get it right versus a platformer where it's more about jumping and landing on a platform. So cameras are way more important. So anyway, let's talk about the big topic here. Xbox Project Scorpio is the most uninteresting thing I think out there right now in gaming. I don't mind some spec stuff. I have a decent understanding of the spec stuff, but without exclusives, without being a new generation, I don't really care about the Scorpio. But there is an interesting conversation that basically came from Robert of Gaming With Me. He made a video. He's basically saying that the Scorpio's one of the most pointless systems. Just get a PC. And I built a gaming PC in 2013, January 2013. The PS4, Xbox One came out later that year. And since then, you know how many times I've seen, and it started with the whole 1080p, 60 frames per second, when that's what people thought the PS4, Xbox One games were going to be. Oh, man, you're spending $400 or $500 on a console. For that price on a PC, I could do 1080p, 60 frames per second, no problem. And now you're seeing Project Scorpio and Robert. He's an 18-year-old kid. He doesn't. He's very wise for his age, but he definitely hasn't seen enough of the world, I guess, and a little ignorant at times. Good kid though. Love his channel. Go watch Robert Gaming With Me. Go support him. He had to spend he spent $1,600 on his gaming laptop. So to him, it's just like, oh well, why do I need a Scorpio? Well, that's the point I want to talk about. And it's been 4 years of seeing people in comment sections saying, well, you can get 1080p 60 frames on PC easy for like $500. It's time for somebody, and it's going to be me, and I'm not a tech channel, but it's time for somebody to just call bullshit on all that. The Scorpio is probably going to be $500. I bet money on it. It's going to be $500 for what it can do at that $500 price point. Whether you care, like the problem is the games. It's just going to have your multiplats. It's going to have a game I can already play on PC. I don't care about 4K or anything. But what that system can do for $500 on a PC, if you're building from scratch, you would be able to get your CPU, your motherboard, some RAM, and maybe your power supply. I mean, if you're going to try to build what the Scorpio can do. So that 500 is going to get you almost nothing. I mean, almost nothing. Your GPU, your 1070, your GTX 1080, if you want to do 4K, those are $400 and $500 cards, up to $600. So I just want to stop anyone from trying to say that they can do this, they can do that on PC for that price, because you're a fucking liar. And I built my PC for $1,200 in January of 2013. AMD's had their 8-core, 4 gigahertz processor. I forget the model number. It's a very common one. That was $200. The motherboard was like $180. The RAM was like $70-$80. I was already at $500 with 3 things. And I went cheap on my graphics card. If I would have spent another $150, I'd probably still using that one, but I actually upgraded last year. It was a $280 card. I sold my old card for $50. So for $230, I upgraded. And I still can't hit 1080p 60 frames per second. So I just want to stop anyone from trying to say that. So let's talk about why I think PC is definitely not the best deal in gaming. Now, I'll start this off by saying, if you're already going to build a PC for other purposes, for video editing, for your job, for whatever, your home office, if you're already building a PC, then making it a gaming PC, yeah, for $500 more than what you were going to spend, you could have a really good gaming rig. My processor is AMD 8-core, 4 gigahertz. I forget the model number. It's been their like flagship until the Ryzens just are coming out. I forget FX something, but anyway, lost my train of thought. Yeah, if you're already building a PC, then to make it a gaming PC, yeah, you don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars. But if you don't have anything, let's say your PC you're using right now, you bought at Best Buy, it's a Dell or Gateway Tower that has, DDR3 or 2 RAM and not expandable. Yeah, it's the FX 8350, the CPU. If you have a computer, you just can't upgrade it, right? You got to buy the case, power supply, the drive, optical drive, disk drive, whatever, hard drives, motherboard, CPU, GPU, RAM, and anything else you might want. Those are the things you'll have to have. A friend of mine I work with, I've known him for 10 years. Every day of his life, he's researching stuff on PCs. He's a gaming PC only, World of Warcraft, League of Legends guy. He's playing Battlefield 1, and he's looking to upgrade to the new AMD, the Ryzen, either the R5 or the R7. But he just built a good gaming rig, not a top-line gaming rig, for a buddy of his that he does World of Warcraft with. He, pretty much gave him his password. He went to Newegg and he, got all the necessary stuff. $1,400, and this isn't going to be a 4K 60 frames per second machine. So $1,400 just for the tower with all the necessary components. I don't know. He might have went with a 1070 or maybe I think it was a 1060 though for the graphics card, and it's like, if you want a game, and you play, let's say, the usuals, the common, big third-party multiplats and stuff, that $500 for that Scorpio, yeah, it seems expensive. And if you already have a PC, yeah, it's stupid. If you already have an Xbox One regular, I don't know. You can't build a PC for under like that. It's gonna, let's say if you wanted equal to Scorpio, you're gonna have to spend that $1,600 that Robert at Gaming With Me spent right now. If you want DDR4 RAM in your motherboard, not the graphics cards have DDR5 or 5 plus, whatever. I don't know. I think it's just 5, but you're talking the new motherboards that take the new chips, and you can directly plug in your solid state to the motherboard and stuff like that. If you want to get 4K 60 frames, yeah, you're spending $1,600 plus on your tower if you don't have anything. So my point is, you could buy a PS4 Pro, an Xbox Scorpio when it comes out, and a Nintendo Switch, and you'd still be spending less money than you would need to build a PC to do like what I have. That even with the old parts, if you're building it new and you have nothing, you're going to spend close to $1,000. And depending on what GPU you go with, it's going to be more. I wouldn't go any less than the RX 480, which is about $200 if you're lucky, and that's not going to play Rise of the Tomb Raider. Even 1080p, you might hit 60, but it ain't going to be locked, and you definitely ain't going to hit 1440p at 60, and definitely, I mean, 4K out of the question with a single card. So to me, the best deal in gaming is always a game console. And even if the Scorpio has no exclusives and I don't care anything about it, I'll never buy one. I could care less. It's the better deal versus building a computer. Now you can say, well, PCs do so much more, and you got Steam, like Robert's saying, you got Steam. Yeah, you got Steam. A lot of Steam games are old Xbox 360, PS3 generation games, Xbox One, PS4 games, yeah, or just indie games. And it's like, yeah, those are fun, but is your PC hooked up to your main TV, your favorite TV? A lot of people it isn't. For me, it isn't. And I'm not just, I have Ori and the Blind Forest. Yeah, I wasn't going to miss out on that. I bought it, played it down on my computer. I'd rather have played that on a game console on my main TV upstairs. But that's just me. But anyway, just from a price argument, you can lie. Someone can go in the comment section, I could build a PC for $500. You're lying. You can't. It's just factually, you can't. And if you built a PC for $500, it doesn't have a graphics card, it's not going to be able to run games. Maybe some Candy Crush or something. But, I mean, CPU, motherboard, and graphics card, you're already over $500. You're like, well, that's it. Well, no, there's a lot more. Cases are around $100 for a good case, 80 to 100. New DDR4 RAM, 8 to 16. I think 16 gigs is going to be $140. So, I mean, if you want to build a medium one, even then, you're going to spend $700-800, and it's going to be under what PS4 Pro can do. If you're talking about just graphics, and PS4 actually has exclusives. So, to me, PC gaming is one of those things. It's a buzzword. It's something to say, hey, well, just play on PC. If you care about graphics, just play on PC. Well, some people care about graphics, but they don't care to spend $1,500 for them. Like, they expect a game system that has a new game to be optimized for that system and look and run well, like Uncharted 4 looks and runs great on the PS4. That's what you should expect from a console game. Now, if that's not happening and you got to get a PC to get it to look good and run good, then you shouldn't support that developer anyway. You shouldn't support that game. But that's just me. You know, I'm kind of preaching there. Do what you want with your money, but PC is just, it's a luxury. It's an expensive avenue. I paid $1,200 and then I upgraded for $230 with my graphics card. Then I added more RAM, which was another $80. So I'm going to have probably close to $2,000 into this thing before I'm like, hey, maybe I'll build another one. Like, and all I use it for is what I'm doing now, watching YouTube. I play a few games like Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'm not going to buy an Xbox One. I already had the PC. I bought the graphics card instead. I spent $230 basically and got a graphics card that could run Rise of the Tomb Raider on high settings and average about 45, 50 frames per second. But if I didn't have any of that, or if I had a super slow computer to begin with, and I would have had to buy an Xbox One, or now that's on PS4 or whatever. But yeah, if you think you're getting the Scorpio and you don't have a gaming PC, I can't blame you, because for what they're saying, and I'll just talk about the Scorpio real quick, the only things that piqued my interest were just by default fast loading times based on the way it's designed and locked frame rates and resolutions on games. So I have the, by the way, I have the R9 or the 390 Radeon. Is it R9 390 or whatever? I bought it over a year ago, so I don't really pay attention to that stuff. But yeah, it's the 390. It's a XFX brand. It's the 8 gig version. So obviously, they never really put games out there that use all of those 8 gigs of DDR5. But anyway, I can't call you an idiot. I think the Scorpio is a better deal than building a PC from scratch, unless you want to play World of Warcraft or you want to play League of Legends and you want to have all access to all these Steam games that are old games at a cheap price. But I couldn't say somebody's stupid for buying an Xbox One Scorpio version for $500 if it truly can do native 4K 60 frames per second with current gen games. You can't get that on PC without just a ridiculous amount of money. So yeah, that's pretty much my point. And if you see somebody comment like, "Oh, you can get that for $700 on PC," no, you can't. A 1080 is $600. The graphics card. That's it. You can't build a PC and do 4K unless you somehow know of an operating system or you strip it bare and it's just a gaming rig and everything's allocated for gaming. But the way they design the Xbox, the Scorpio chip, the engine, the way that it's just like the DirectX 12 is just right on the chip, and it cuts down all these processes. It's super optimized. And whatever that means, we'll talk about the Scorpio at a later date in the podcast. I don't think it's enough of a leap to be a new gen, but I think it's too much of a leap in power to be a mid-gen upgrade. It's kind of like it's way closer to being the Xbox 2, in my opinion. But if you want Xbox One level games at native 4K and locked frame rates, that's what the Scorpio is going to be. And Rob, rule of two, if you're watching this, sorry, man, this is not going to have, in 2 years, going to be an exclusive, getting exclusive games. It's just not. I'm sorry. I saw a tweet and I didn't verify it, but someone posted where Phil Spencer said, well, the Scorpio isn't meant to sell well. That's what the S is for, the Xbox One S. Like, they know that this is just for high-end, like, guys that just, there's going to be people that buy it that just play Call of Duty, and they'll never need it and won't even have a 4K TV, There's just people that'll be like that. But if that's true, if he really did say that, then they're just putting this out there just so they can appease the guys that care about graphics, maybe get a lot of the 360 guys back that went to PS4, and so they can play their annual multiplats with the best visuals. I don't know. So let's talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about Zelda, and I'm going to wrap this up. So I beat Zelda. If you listen to the podcast on Monday, I was like, gotta go beat Ganon. And I just want to thank everybody, comment sections, videos, who said that the final fight with Ganon was disappointing. Now, I want to thank you for lowering my expectations, because it was fucking awesome. And I don't know what the hell people are saying. It was in line with what they set up if you beat any of the Divine Beast. It was in line with that at one point, and then something completely different and just amazing and so unforgettably amazing that I'm not going to spoil it. But if you beat it and you thought that was like disappointing on any level, yeah. If you did the Divine Beast, it cuts its health meter in half immediately. On my next playthrough, I might face him before I get all the Divine Beasts. Next time I battle him, though, I'm going to take off. I took off Daruk's power. I'm going to take all those off, and probably my armor. I'm probably going to go to like my worn out shirt and pants and just see and just make it hard. The difficulty in that game is up to you. At any point, any encounter with an enemy, you can set the difficulty instantly. I went back to, like I was just saying, the difficulty's up to you. I went back to the plateau because I bought the expansion pass as soon as I beat it. I loved it. And I went back to the default clothes, and I was using the Bokoblin clubs and the Bokoblin bows at 4. Their damage is 4. And I was on the plateau for hours, and that's all I used. I could have used my Savage Lionel bow with 42 damage, and it shoots 3 arrows at a time and just destroyed everything in one hit. I chose not to. So it's up to you. Another thing, I had 130 hours, I think, in the game. I went to 108, 109 shrines, and max upgraded my ancient gear, the full set, my champion's tunic, the desert voy or whatever, the male desert gear. Those are all max upgraded. I took the time to find the materials, to find the great fairies, to spend the rupees on that last great fairy. Why shouldn't I be able to beat them in one try? Like, that's one of the things has always bugged me about games, is I put all this time, especially ones where your character like levels up or progresses. Obviously not Uncharted 4 or 2, where you're Nathan Drake's the same Nathan Drake beginning and end, no progression, no new abilities, nothing. Games where you gain all these abilities. I remember playing Metal Gear Solid, and I'm like, I'm good at this game. I get to the boss, and it's like 2 days of just getting destroyed. And I don't like that. So that's just me. I like the idea. I fought Ganon for, like I said, I turned off Daruk's power. I was using my perfect guards. If I messed up, then I lost half my health, and I had to use my the meals I prepared. I did one for higher defense. I finally realized how to cook food to get high level improvements of defense or whatever. And I turned off Daruk's power, and I used the food items to heal myself. Mifa's Grace, I didn't have it turned off, but as soon as I got down to like 5 hearts left, I would eat something to restore my health. I had food items that would give me plus 5 hearts on top of full recovery. So yeah, it's going to be easy, quote unquote easy, but I don't have a problem with it, because like I said, if I want it to be harder, I can make it harder. And I like having that option. I liked beating them in one try and be like, yeah, I'm the freaking hero of time, motherfucker. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to get redemption for the 4 champions and for Zelda. I like that. So I guess if you expected something super hard, like Dark Souls, like frustrating hard, whatever. But thanks to everyone who said it was disappointing, because I loved it. I thought the setting was awesome. The music, his design was awesome. And I purposely made it a little harder than it would have been normally. I stormed the gates and took out every guardian on my way from, I rode my horse in from Central Hyrule and took out every guardian on the way up. Used up some of my guardian swords I had from all the guardian scouts in the shrines, and Master Sword. I didn't have the Helion Shield then. I have it now. I should be able to kick his ass, because I'm good. I got good at the game. I can get criticals with that bow like you wouldn't believe, from distances that shouldn't be hitting. You know, I'm freaking good at the game, and I should be able to beat him. So, but whatever. If you thought it was too easy, then that's a valid complaint for you, and it's your opinion. Maybe this new hard mode, we'll see what it changes up. The game's already hard enough. The silver enemies, they're already hard enough. I don't want that to become the harder thing. Maybe mix some stuff around. I don't know what they could do. Make some shrines in some new locations. I'm not sure. Have different patterns of the enemies have different attack patterns. I don't know what they're planning, but I loved every second of it. I had a grin on my face the whole time. It was so epic. It was so awesome. And I did all the memories, so I had the extended cutscene at the end, and I just wanted to play more. I was like, I'm buying that DLC. As soon as this was done, I was like, I want the story to continue right here, right where they're leaving it. I want to play more with how it left it. That's what I want to do next. Now, this new story could be something completely different, not even have Link in it. I mean, I don't know, but it was just awesome. I loved it. And then I played about 12 hours since then, and I found 4 shrines, probably 50 Korok seeds, maybe not 50, probably 35, 40, and completed almost every side quest I had going. The only problem I have is I have 12. It tells you on the and the side quests and the shrine quests. I have 4 shrine quests. I don't know where they are. Didn't complete them. I did 58 out of 62 or whatever it is. And then the main, the side quest, I was at 63 out of 74, something like that. And I'm going back to all the stables. I can't find the other side quest to start. So that kind of sucks, but I'm going to just find the rest of the shrines. I'm at 112 now, and I know where one is in a certain village. I know where the orb is, but a certain person won't let me take it, and I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to figure that out and then find 7 other shrines. Actually, the last shrine I found was looking for a side quest, looking for a Leviathan skeleton. So the side quests actually promote searching, and that's how I found my last 3-4 shrines. So we'll see. I'm definitely not going to look it up, and I'm not going to stop playing until I have 120 shrines. And I've got Korok seeds. I think I got 180 or something. I don't really need. I didn't ask for the answer there, Unforgiven. Sorry. I kind of see what you said. I don't know what that means, but I wasn't looking for the answer. So please, unless somebody's directly asked, I need to know how to do this. Shouldn't throw out a solution that, like that. But anyway, I don't really feel the need to upgrade my weapon slots anymore. I have 18 slots for the swords and stuff. I have 11 or 12 for the bow and shield each, and I'm pretty good. But I do like the little Korok seeds. It's fun, especially some of the little more challenging ones. But it's just a great game. I don't know when I'm going to stop playing it. Mario Kart 8 comes out in 3 weeks. I might be ready to play another game. I don't know. So we'll see. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Juice's Opinions for this week. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I have noticed, I've talked to some of my peers. I don't really pay attention to the views and stuff. Some other people do. And they were talking about how the views have dropped off since the Switch launched. And it's like, well, it did remind me, the weeks before the Switch launch, I was having 80 to 100 live viewers on a Juice Opinions. And everybody from Nintendo Ultra, Real Gamer, to Zobi70 was watching these Juice Opinions because everyone was just excited and the anticipation was peaked. And yeah, now I get, 15 to 20 live viewers when I do these. So I have noticed that, but I think it's just all these people, they had their Wii U's sitting there, or they traded them in and there wasn't any games coming out. They didn't have anything to do, and now they do have a bunch to. They have the the Zelda to play. They have a Switch. They have games like Snake Pass and Fast RMX and Binding of Isaac and what the Neo Geo games. I mean, people have a lot more stuff to do. And I've been meaning to tell a lot of people this. I'm sorry if you haven't seen Terminator Juice liked your video. I haven't had a chance hardly. I've been doing a home not remodel, but home improvement stuff, playing Zelda, and trying to keep up on the shows I watch. Thankfully, the CW, all of them were off this week, except for iZombie, which is back. Love that show. And I haven't found the time. Like, I'm watching YouTube on my way driving to and from work now. I'm using my data, and that's the only time I'm watching a lot of these YouTube videos. So sorry, Rob Arula too. I mean, I watched 2 of them today, or listened to them. If it's not a topic that I'm super interested in, even if I really like your channel, I'm not going to watch your video right now because I just don't have the time. I'm just making these videos, making my Juice Opinions is taking me away from what I want to be doing, playing Zelda. And I actually got some painting I want to do as soon as I get out of here, get a coat of paint on some new drywall. So, apologize. Other than, I guess there's 2 YouTubers who I've made, no matter what, I've made a point to watch. But, to really dedicate some time and listen to some podcasts or listen to longer videos, it's tough. So I understand if my views are down. I haven't really looked, but if they're down, I understand. You're playing Zelda, you're playing your Switch. There's stuff to do. It's so we'll see. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I do have pre-ordered. $45 out the door thanks to Best Buy Gamers Club. I don't know how I don't know how I'm going to go in with that game. I'll try the battle mode and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to try to 3-star all the cups again because all the tracks are the same. It's going to be interesting to see if that revitalizes or if that only lasts a couple weeks and then it's like, yeah, it's Mario Kart 8, you know, I already have it. So we'll have to see. And, you know, there's just some, I'm a little worried that it's kind of throwing money away, even though it was only 45. But I spent that much money on Resident Evil 7 and it's put 9 hours in it and that's it. So we'll see. But the future's looking bright. I'm excited. So, but I appreciate everybody for tuning in live and on the replay. And yeah, let's just enjoy gaming and play games because that's what it's all about. And we'll see you next week.